Hello everyone, and welcome to the back garden yard. Today's video is a test that viewers have asked me to make. They want to see how these different manure products grow the plants. So I have devised a test kind of scientifically, and we're going to try to see how they will actually grow in the different mediums. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this play sand, and this will be the control. So in these 3 buckets I'm going to put play sand only, and put the same seeds that I put for the black cow, for the chicken compost, and for the evergreen. So I'm going to compare black cow, chicken compost, and evergreen, how well they grow. I'm going to compare those against just plain seeds and play sand. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, of course, open the play sand. And we're going to fill one of these containers up. And we're going to measure how many scoops it takes. 1. 9. Okay, so we have 9 scoops of play sand in there, 9 scoops of sand, 3 scoops of each one of these as we do it. So that's the plan. Let's see how this works. I will go ahead and put these 9 scoops into the white bucket. It's coming out the bottom, but that's okay. Alright, we got the 9 scoops in there, and then we're going to open the black cow and put 3 scoops of that in. Mix it up good. All right. 1, 2, and 3. All right. Now I'm going to just mix it back and forth in these 2 containers until it's uniform. There we go. That is a 1 to 3 mixture. So now I'm going to take the 1 to 3 mixture and put it in the first grow pot and see how much it fills up the pot. And that is perfect. So 9 scoops of sand, 3 scoops of the manure mixture, and we've got our grow medium for a test. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the chicken compost. We're going to put 3 of these in. Now this is the most expensive of the manures. This is $8.50 a bag. The cow is $6.50. 1, 2, And here goes number 9. And we're going to mix this one up. Same way. Okay. Into the planting pot we're going to put the chicken now. Doesn't matter if I miss with a little, we're just trying to get about the same amount in each bucket. Okay folks, so now I have mixed all of the planting pots with the compost and sand and a 3-to-1 ratio. And it's very interesting that you can see a really complete difference in the color of each one of these, even though they're mixed with the same sand. So if you look at this first one is the Evergreen, and it's got a brighter white color. And then the I can't believe it's chicken compost is actually a darker mixture, and I think that's because it has been sifted at the plant, and so it mixed up well and it turned the mixture darker than that one. And then the Black Cow is actually a different color too. It's a little darker than the Evergreen, but it's not as dark as the I can't believe it's chicken. So you can see a difference in all 3 of these planting pots that I'm getting ready to plant. So this will be an interesting experiment. And then of course I've got the controls over here. I'm going to plant the same seeds in just pure 100% play sand. So these are just 3 play sands for the seeds. So now let me go get the seeds and we'll go ahead and get busy and get planting. So here are the seeds I'm going to plant. First thing is going to be some Blue Lake bush garden beans. These usually come up really fast, and so I'm going to put 3 per pot. Then these are calabash squash, and once again I'm going to put 3 per pot. There's 12 of them. And then bok choy, where I saved the seeds. I've got 6 seeds in each of these little paper containers, and so they're tiny. You can maybe see the little tiny seed right here, those little tiny seeds. So they're really tiny. I'm going to put 6 in each pot. Decided to move them over here where they would get a little partial shade in the afternoon. So that's what's going on with the experiment here. And today has been 5 days since these seeds were planted, and we're getting some growth, so I thought I'd bring them back over here and show them to you. Now in the pure sand, we've got the bok choy, and out of 6 seeds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I got 5 plants. That other one I don't think is going to come up, but you don't expect 100% with little seeds like bok choy. Okay, so now we're looking at the bok choy and the Black Cow, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it looks like only about 3 are coming up. But once again, that's not any indication of how the Black Cow is affecting the seeds. It's just a matter of the seeds are weak. That's why I planted so many. Over here is the chicken manure, and I've got, as you can see, 6 plants of the chicken manure are up. And the last one is the Evergreen, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5, and it looks like 1 sprouted, but it's not coming up. It may have gotten washed up as I put the water on them so many times. So anyway, they're all looking about the same right now, and that's to be expected because the nutrition for a seed starting doesn't come from the soil, it comes from the seed itself. So you would expect them to be all about even as they come out of the ground. And so that's what's going on here with the bok choy. Now we've got the green beans, and as you can see, they're starting to come up also in the sand. I've got 2 and 1 more showing. Over here in the black cow, I've got 1 showing. Over here in the chicken manure, I've got 2 showing. And I haven't seen anything yet in the evergreen, but they'll probably be up in a day or 2. And then we've got the calabash squash, nothing in the evergreen. I'm seeing a little bit in the chicken of, looks like the top of one right there. The black cow has got 1 there and 1 there. And we're starting to see 1 poke through here in the calabash squash, and I'm starting to see another one, calabash in the sand. I'm starting to see another one, looks like it's cracking the soil there. Okay folks, so here we are at day 7 of our cow manure test, and the plants have come up. So let's take a look and see what's going on. So here the calabash squash in the sand, and they came up looking nice and healthy. And then we're going to compare those to the ones that are in the black cow, and actually those plants have came up looking bigger than the calabash sand squash. And then we've got the calabash and the chicken, and they're looking very nice and healthy also. Not quite as big as the black cow, but looking good. And then we've got the one in the evergreen. All 3 of them came up in every pot, so that was very, very good germination. Now we're looking at the beans in the sand, and they are they came up very, very nice. And once again, remember, the nutrition for the original plant comes out of the seed, so they came up nice. But here's our first aha moment of this test. Look how poorly the black cow beans came up compared to just in sand. Is there something in this manure, like herbicides that the cows ate, that are stunning the growth and sprouting of these bean plants? And it wasn't just the black cow, it was also the chicken manure. The same thing happened. Only 2 came up, and they look really poor compared to the same plants in the sand. And these did not come up, and they never came up. So that does make me wonder about the people that wrote that said there's herbicides in the manure mixtures. I'm really skeptical at this point because of the way these green beans didn't come up nicely. Please leave your ideas about what happened in the comments below. Bok choy in the sand, and it has come up nice. I've got 5 nice plants. Over here we've got 3 nice plants into the black cow. They look very similar to the bok choy. The ones in the chicken manure actually are looking the healthiest at this point now. They've been up about 2.5 days. And then the ones in the evergreen are looking about like the ones in the black cow. So at this point in time, I really can't make any observations on what's going on. But I'm going to keep this experiment going at least 2 more weeks, and we'll see if we can see any difference between these manures. Today is August the 19th. This cow manure test has been going now since July the 31st, so this makes the 19th day. These plants started coming up, mostly were up by the 5th day, so that means this is 2 weeks into growth in these various mixtures. So of course this is the first one. This is bok choy in the sand, and we can see that it is looking a little pale and yellow, but they're actually healthy plants. Here is another one with the bok choy, and here is another one with the bok choy, and then finally we obviously have the one that did the best, bok choy, right here. And really soon I'm going to show you which ones these are. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is the sand, of course, and we're looking here at the green beans. These are bush green beans, and these are just in sand. There's been no nutrients added at all. Here is another one in the manure mixture of sand. Here's one that didn't even come up, even though 3 seeds were planted. And then here's another one. I've got these sticks in there just to give them some support, because now they're getting so tall and leggy, I don't want them to blow over. And it's actually looking almost like this one. So these two are doing about the same. The sand one, you can see it's a little further behind. Okay, and finally we're looking over here at the calabash squash, and they're a little pale yellow here on the leaves. So that's what I'm seeing. I also see that I've got some mites on them, which I'm going to rub off, wash off. Here are the calabash squash in the second mixture, and you can see the cotyledon leaves, the first leaves out, are very, very yellow. And even though they've made a secondary leaves, the tertiary leaves are looking really, really bad here. So this one is not really seeming to stimulate the plant growth much. This is the next mixture, and it looks very similar to the one I just showed you. So anyway, it's got very yellow cotyledon leaves. You can compare that with these leaves here that aren't nearly as yellow. And then finally we've got the sand mixture, and this mixture of course is showing very, very nice color actually for the cotyledon leaves. The secondary leaves though that have come out are very stunted, and they're not growing up like they should, even though they came on out. So the sand mixture actually is giving me better results than I thought I would get from just play sand. And so now I'm going to go over and I'm going to get the bags and film from the other side, and I will tell you which one is which. Okay folks, so here they are. We have the play sand on the left. The first row is the black cow, the second row is the evergreen, and the third row is the chicken manure. And it's pretty obvious at this point that overall the chicken manure has got the strongest plants. So what we're going to do is look at them right quick. I've already showed them to you from behind. So here's the calabash squash in the sand. And then we've got the green beans in the sand. And then we've got the bok choy in the sand. And we compare that to the black cow, and that's the bok choy. Here's the green beans, and here's the calabash squash, which you can notice just how yellow the cotyledon leaves are, and how kind of stunted the I guess it'd be the third leaves that are coming out here are. And then we've got the evergreen, and it's obviously the poorest nutrition. These are just barely hanging on for the bok choy. The green beans didn't even come up. And here we have very stunted leaves coming out now. Actually just a little bit better than the plain sand. So with this evergreen, I'm very disappointed to see these results, because this is the one I have been using the most. But of course, I always supplement with 10-10-10, and I use the compost and manure mixtures to build up the soil to make it, because I've got such hard packed clay here. So I have a feeling most of my plants have been getting their nutrition from the 10-10-10 and not from any of the manure supplements that I have been adding. So that's kind of what I'm starting to think. But anyway, I do think I can't believe it's chicken manure has definitely got more nutrition, because now you can look at the bok choy here, and you can see those are nice, healthy growing plants. The green beans are very nice and healthy and very nice color. And then the calabash squash, once again, is a little bit yellower here, but definitely not as yellow as the evergreen or even the black cow. So they definitely have a better color. And what's interesting is the actual color of the ones just in the play sand are actually better, even though the leaves are now stunted from lack of nutrition. So I'm able to say that the chicken is definitely given the best results for this test. Okay folks, it's August the 22nd. This experiment's been going for 23 days, and I think it's time to end it. So we've been comparing the growth of plants in just play sand, in black cow, in the evergreen compost, and in the I can't believe it's chicken manure compost, just to see what the growth would be like comparing them all together. So as a control, I use just plain sand. And here's what happened in the sand. This is bok choy. And as you can see, it's yellowed. It did grow though in the sand. Here is the green beans. And green beans are nitrogen fixers. And actually the green bean plants are looking okay, even though they're not as big as some of the other ones. They did okay in just sand and water. And then here is the calabash squash, and once again they're looking kind of stunted, but they did grow, and there they are. The next one is the cow, the black cow, and you can see that these are a lot greener than the sand, a lot greener. Then the next one is the Evergreen, and it is just holding on. It's not even as nice as the sand. And then finally we have the I Can't Believe It's Chicken, and these plants are doing extremely well compared to the Evergreen, the Black Cow, and the sand. There's just no doubt that they liked this mixture of sand and chicken manure better. Okay, the next row, we've already seen these here of the beans. Now we've got the Black Cow, and they're looking nice. All three plants came up, and they've got a good color to them. The Evergreen did not even come up. I'm not sure what happened there, but they did not even come up. And then the chicken manure are looking almost exactly as good and nice as are the Black Cow ones. So I would have to call this basically a tie on these. Then finally, we've got the calabash squash. Here's just plain sand. Then here is the calabash squash in the Black Cow, and they're not really looking any better than just the plain sand. And then here is the Evergreen, which is actually looking less better than the plain sand. And then finally we have the chicken manure, and they are actually looking the best. And you can see nice color on these leaves that are coming out here, the 4th or 5th leaves, and you can see they're still going, whereas this one's barely coming out. Same with these, and these are very, very stunted. So you can see that overall, I'll turn it back around now, that the calabash in the chicken, the green beans in the chicken, and of course the bok choy in the chicken is the one that's just the complete difference. Then over here it's the same thing. We've got the calabash and the Evergreen. The beans didn't come up, and then the bok choy in the Evergreen. And going back through them, the calabash and the cow is looking okay. The green beans did well in the Black Cow, and then the bok choy, this was the second best. And then finally we've got just sand. That's the calabash, that's the green beans, and that's the bok choy and the sand. Okay, so the first thing we've got here is the calabash squash and the chicken, and I can roll it over here, and you can see that there are roots all the way down to the bottom. These have been growing for 3 weeks, and this is a big root mass. There's roots all in here, and so I'm going to pull out the biggest one as best I can. Just kind of break them off, pull this plant out, and then rinse the roots like that. Okay, so this is the root mass of the chicken calabash squash, and I'm going to put it like this. Okay, the next one is going to be the Evergreen. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, so here they all are, calabash squash in sand, Black Cow, Evergreen, and chicken. And as you can see, The black cow has got a better looking than evergreen or sand, but the chicken is just as well. If you look at the roots, it actually looks like the sand had the biggest root system, and that could be because it kept going down looking for nutrition. I'm not sure, but that is the results we get here. And so they're all very similar in root structure is the best thing. I can't make any real judgment about how the roots grew on these. Okay, so next we're going to do the beans the same way. I'll lay them out and I'll come back to you. So now this is the green beans, the sand, the black cow, and the chicken all have nice healthy root systems. So the evergreen didn't come up at all, so there's no real comparison I can do here on that. When you lay them out, the chicken does have better color, but not much better than the black cow. And actually the one that was grown in just sand is looking pretty nice for not having any extra nutrition at all. So you can't really so far make any comparison about which of these plants had the best root growth in the manure. You can definitely see the difference in the tops, but the roots are about the same, and there's nutrients in just plain sand. So it's really not any way to make a comparison here, I think. All right, and finally we're going to do the same thing with the bok choy, and there'll be a huge comparison with those, but let's go ahead and get them and see what's going on. Okay, and finally we now have the root systems of bok choy grown in just sand, black cow, evergreen, and chicken manure. And as you can see, the chicken manure is about twice as long as the root from the sand. Well, more than twice as long. Let's compare it to the evergreen. Yeah, about twice as long. And then just a little longer than the root from the black cow, even though the black cow did not do well in this test. So the chicken manure definitely grew the best bok choy. In conclusion, in this test I used a 3-part sand to 1-part manure compost mixture for a 25% manure mixture. Would the results be different for a 50% mixture? Also, I won't be using manure for my seed starting anymore, either in the greenhouse or in the garden rows, as this test showed no increase in germination size and probably hurt the germination of the beans. I did notice the stunted look of my bush beans this year when they came up in the rows. I had used evergreen as an additive. So finally, I will continue to add my homemade compost to my garden, and I will use some of the chicken manure compost if I can find it, but I won't be buying evergreen or countryside anymore, as I have shown in a previous video just how much added wood chips and bark is in their products, and just how poorly evergreen performed in this test. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next video.